where we think there might be some slight changes to the meta, stuff like that, what monsters may be slightly more viable. I've looked over this patch, and by and large, it's not a big mover or shaker. It's very one step at a time, very incremental. My guess is they don't want to mess with anything for SWC because there's people who are mid competition, they're competing, they got there due to certain monsters behaving certain ways, and if they nerfed their monsters mid competition, they might be sad. So that's my guess. What I do think is nice about this patch is that they did give it to us. I kind of expected us to not get a patch during the SWC championship thing for that very reason. I was like, okay, we'll have to wait till after that because they're going to play with their monsters the way they are, and we'll get a balance patch after. So I'm really happy we got anything, because anything different gives us more things to do, more things to build. Hey, what's up, Milo? So I think people can't really have it both ways. I hear some people saying we need more frequent balance patches, but then we get a small balance patch like this one, and people are like, oh, it doesn't go far enough. And I'm like, well, let's do small. I'd take more small balance patches to no balance patches at all, or very rare big ones. So I'm cool with this. It does make some small changes and steps in the right direction for several monsters. Hey, what's up, Fit and Games? How's it going? So let's dig into some of these monsters. Dark Paladin, I don't really think is worth addressing because no one really has it. If you have it, you'll pour over this sentence like it's your life. So that's not me, so we're going to ignore it. Dark Pioneer, no one really has it either. You don't have to worry about it in terms of RTA. It got better. It turned into a better buff stripper. It has some attack bar there. If you face it, just know it's better. I don't think we need to really get into it. Light Unicorn doesn't matter. Same reason. Like LND Nat 5s, they impact the game very, very rarely and for a very, very small section of people. So let's not worry about those too much. Let's worry about things that we might all have. Water Archangel, this is kind of nice. Little 10% boost in the heal and the cooldown decrease. So that's kind of nice. For anybody playing, long matches with the Archangel. Sometimes I find myself facing them and I can't quite kill whatever I'm killing. So a little bit more healing will help. Still really good on Nemesis. Still going to help. Wind Archangel, this is one I actually have, so I'm kind of interested in this change. So nothing that was already an issue has really changed with Eladriel, except what they've done is they've fixed the third skill kind of for PvE. Now it's an AoE res, which there's certain elements of the game where AoE res is really good, but doesn't really matter in RTA. I don't see this change having much impact in RTA. So if you were bringing him before, I guess you still bring him now. I'm not going to bring him. I've tried him crit damage. I've tried him lots of different ways, and he just doesn't work. What made the Vanessa buff so good is that it was automated. An automated res cuts in line in terms of turns, and it makes people have to think about what to do. If this was an automated res, it would be fantastic. But having to take a turn to do it, usually you don't have that turn available. And it's a win more kind of a thing. Once they've already killed enough of your team for you to say, oh good, I'm going to res 2 monsters. They're so far ahead on tempo that's bad. You don't want to have to res your team. You want your team to be alive the whole time. So the Archangel buff doesn't really matter for RTA in my opinion, but maybe they'll start working towards it. I mean, there's a lot of things that could make him very viable. Make the strip 100%. We have a lot of monsters with 100% strip. That'd be really good, but it'd also be really good for the other Archangels. So that might be an issue. All right, Dragon Knight Water. If you were using Chow and RTA before, you're still going to use Chow now. This is just strictly better. Removes 1 harmful effect at the end of your turn. Not bad. I mean, it's probably going to be attack buff because most people are franning Chows, right, if you see them. So that's good. Or attack break, I guess, is more accurate. So a little baby buff for Chow. Still good. Not as good as the other monsters you would pick instead of him. Not as good as Mei Wang. Not as good as Ager, but a little bit better. Laika buff. Oh my gosh. Just looking at anything related to Laika makes me sad because I played Laika when Laika was God. Like, Laika could solo Chow, Laika could solo Camilla, Laika could solo everything in the game, and it was great. And so having to nerf him back down, because Laika should not be able to solo premium water nat 5s, right? Having to nerf him back down was so sad. So I would way rather them incrementally buff, so every time you see a little bitty Laika buff, you're like, oh good, a little bit more to make him viable. I'm afraid that some of these buffs, like to Water Monkey King and Daphnis, are a little bit too over the edge in terms of so much so soon. I feel like they're gonna have to bring him back, and bringing something back by nerfing it is no fun for anybody, because you put your Devilmon into it, you start to learn the style of play, you enjoy it, whereas slowly increasing the unit is much more fun. So that's kind of a tangent, but I'm hoping this is not the end of the Laika buffs, because this is not enough. As long as Garo is undeniably better than Laika, Laika's got a problem, right? They're both single target. They both have problems with dying. Laika now can take 3 hits and not die. It used to be 3 hits and you were dead. Now Laika can take 3 hits and live, which is cool because Theomars happens to do 3 hits when he only takes 1 turn. So that's kind of nice. But, you know, it's not enough to make him better than Garo, because Garo can live forever, you know, like he can live over and over and over. And the bar gain with Garo is the problem. So yeah, Laika's not there yet, but it's a step in the right direction, right? Step in the right direction. Oh gosh, Island Hype in chat. Yeah, Water has 4 hits. Yeah, that makes me sad. Now I'm more sad. But you know what? If they really want to push this Knight's passive, whatever, make him like straight up like Golem or whatever. Make him take 10 hits to kill. That would be insane. But probably too good. Okay, Fire PRA. We've got a 30% chance to stun, and I believe a 30% chance to strip now. Is that right? Yeah, 30% chance to remove 1 beneficial effect and stun. So yeah, I think people have been talking that's like Molong's second skill. That's good. I don't know if it's good enough to get her into the meta, but it's something. I fought one of these once ever in 9+ seasons of RTA, and this is before the buff, and it kind of worked. It extended the beneficial or the negative effects is what they did, but that's gone now, so I don't know. Cannon Girl Water, I don't think that's really relevant. Cannon Girl, let's look at the Cannon Girl Wind a little bit, because it was such a mess before, and I think it's still a mess, but it's harder to perceive. So I'm gonna like hold this up to my face so I can really see what's going on. So the passive. There's so much going on here. The passive effect is activated when you are attacked, 2 allies are attacked. So the passive bumps the damage, right? So it's a 15% damage buff, accumulates up to 5 times when enemies are attacked. So this to me is anti-AoE, specifically anti-multi-hit AoE. So like Julie, Lucian, things like that. But it's anti only in how you strike back, right? Like, because it presupposes that you're going to get a turn to use the stacks. It makes you want to focus her down, which suggests build her tanky, I guess. So that's kind of weird. The rolling cannon attack increases in proportion to the number of allies alive, and attack power of allies is now just number of allies alive. So I'm assuming they're going to fix that multiplier, because the attack power thing was crazy, just crazy. Like, that didn't even make... It was interesting, but it didn't make sense. So now, if your team's alive, she hits hard with that skill. So you have to assume that's going to be a pretty big single target nuke. They'll just tune it to hit really hard, right? Like, they're going to have to. You'll have your allies alive. I don't know. The interesting part about the Cannon Girl is the buff removal on the second skill, the 5-hit second skill that does dots and removes buffs. It's a 50%... removes beneficial effects with a 50% chance. So it's a 50% chance of dots 5 times. So you're going to land at least 1 dot. You're going to remove at least 1 buff. I'd say with a 5-hit 50% chance, you're going to remove 2 buffs. You know, it's going to be very similar to Chilling, who hits 3 times at 100%. This is 5 times at 50%. So pretty good there. And then there's another change. Like, you know, if you change like every skill a unit has, it's entirely possible that the design might have been bad to start, because they changed everything. They changed the whole unit. I mean, little amendments to what it was before, but it was just a mess before. I don't know how they even released it. But yeah, so we'll see. She's going to hit harder because her passive includes everyone. She's going to hit harder with her third skill because it's units alive, not attack power, and she's going to remove buffs. So those all sound kind of good. I'm going to give it a go, right? The single target buff remover is nice. I wish she wasn't wind. Wind is sort of heavy on lots of things. But, I mean, Shihu hates this, right? Like, Shihu hates this buff because it's going to take all that stuff away, do a bunch of dots, and then hit really hard. Ager kind of hates this buff a little bit because Ager steals stuff. I don't know. We'll see. I have one, so I'm gonna try it out because it's something, right? So we'll give it a shot. It's not obviously terrible just from reading it now, right? Like the things that are changed were things that made no sense to things that seem to have planning behind them. So it just depends. It's all about multipliers, right? Okay. Now here's the thing that interests me the most: the Wind Sylph. I don't think I've heard anybody really talk about it, but the Wind Sylph is now an AoE stripper, like a full AoE stripper with speed lead. Like, is this real? This is really, really good, right? So it's before Hurricane absorbs the attack speed for 3 turns. Now it's remove all beneficial effects, absorb the attack bar by 50%. Is that right? That seems really good. It's not AoE. Oh, I'm glad you guys are here because I was reading that and I was thinking, what? Okay. So single target strip on wind. So what do we've got? We've got Bastet. I guess now we have Cannon Girl, and now we have Wind Sylph. So I'm gonna build one of these just to try it because I feel like she's good in AoE cleave teams, kind of. And this just makes her a little bit better. Yeah, the speed lead. And the base speed's what, like 105, 107, something like that? It's pretty good. So never mind, I'm not as excited about that as I was, but even still, a single target strip with a 50% bar pushback is nice. Oh man, I can only imagine. Michael, if you guys can't see it, Michael's in here talking about his team he's going to use. I've seen some interesting teams that used her before the patch, and I think this is better. Yeah, I'd love to see that team. Okay, moving on to Rakshasas. I have, I think, all the Rakshasas except for Light. And I farmed that HOH back when you could farm infinite Rakshasas. So the only one I don't have skilled up is Water because I don't have Light. So the Water one, inflicted damage will increase by 50% if target is immune to stun. Damage increases your attack speed, increases moves to absorb attack bar. Absorb attack bar is always nice. But I don't think any of this really matters. The Light one's kind of interesting. If the enemy has beneficial effects, decrease the duration of beneficial effect for 1 turn. That's pretty cool. I don't have that. I was hoping to get that at some point, but now I'm not so sure I'm going to get that. I don't know. The only other one, Water Assassin, kind of interesting. Blade of the Dance Reaper doesn't go on cooldown when it kills. So you kill Garrow, it's still on cooldown. Someone follow me. I don't have my things up. Sorry. Thank you for following. I will not let you down. Daniel Carioca and Sal Grosso. Oh, Oblongo hosted me. Thank you for the host. Thank you for the host, Oblongo. I'm talking about the patch. Good old patch. Okay, so the Wind Assassin, though, if the enemy is defeated with the first attack, the damage dealt to another enemy will increase by 30%. That's pretty good. I was kind of looking for a reason to build another assassin, and I wasn't sure which one to build, so this might push me towards Wind. But other than that, that's the patch. Very minor. A lot of little baby incremental steps that hopefully will be followed up with more in the future. So, I don't know. Nothing bad happened to anybody's monsters, right? So that's good. But, you know, I think some bad stuff's going to happen to some of these monsters after SWC. So if you're currently competing in SWC and you have a monster that has like a 70% pick rate with a 60% win rate, like I think your days are numbered. I think your days are numbered because that's too good. So we'll see. But anyway, that's the patch. And yeah, hello Twitch people and goodbye YouTube people. Catch you next time.